recommend, and you don't have to buy this stuff here, but so I'll give you the spill right off the bat, especially since you're recording me. I'm not a salesman. I'll tell you what has worked for me over the years of camping and owning multiple of these. Whether you buy it in here or on Amazon makes me absolutely no difference.
We're only doing this because I'll forget it as soon as we're
No,
done.
and I want to throw that out there because I'm going to tell you some things that I think you should get.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you some things that they think you should get, but
I've heard like dishwashing things and something, and bleach and other things.
it won't be any of that kind of stuff. Like, so the first thing I'm referring to, they make a little, it's like a little basket-sized screen cover that goes over this. And depending on where you are in the country, bugs will get in this, and what it does is it blocks the intake and the exhaust from the furnace.
And then you're choking it.
Yeah, and then you have to completely tear it apart. And because there's not much room, this is about like a fifth wheel. They're hard to get to the furnaces.
This is small.
So it's just
There's not a lot
easier
of
just
room.
to cover it up and do what little bit of preventive maintenance you can do, which is just cover it. So that's that. Potable water only. So this is where you're gonna fill your tank for this. It's not very big on here. So
For the city water.
yes.
Okay.
Well, this is
And they got those like hookups that filter it. Whatever.
they do. This is for your tank though.
Oh, okay.
This is not for your city water. This
Oh,
is,
when okay.
So
And
first
how
of
much
all,
is that? 30 gallons?
couldn't tell you. I don't work on a lot of these. I did the appraisal on this. Is the reason I remember this unit, and I think why they grabbed me on it, just because I operated everything.
You drew the short straw.
Yeah, pretty much. So on this, the biggest thing you need to remember is when you're from your spigot, you need a water regulator on it. Any of these, any type of camper they make out there, you always want a water regulator. And the reason for that is because you don't want to blow off your PEX lines, off of your adapters, or your crimps that are on the PEX itself. So, and it regulates it down to about 50 psi. Some parks have a lot more pressure, some have much less, but they also get spikes.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
I know about that. I do water. I've done water for 35 years.
Okay,
So I know
cool.
about the spikes. And
So that's what you're trying to avoid. So
depends
pressure
on how
regulator.
close you are to the water tank over there.
The pump is what it,
Up there on the hill. See, there's another one right there.
so this is your outdoor shower. Works just like an
Yeah.
indoor shower. You get a hot and cold. This is something separate that you need to winterize and sanitize if you plan on, drinking water out of it. But if you're not gonna drink out of it, no big deal. But if when you winterize it, you will need to actually, when you winterize the unit, you will actually need to winterize that shower as well. Just a storage compartment, nothing special. I mean, they run all over. Alright, you've got coax that hooks there, you've got a plug.
Yeah, they put this behind here. It's like a log. It's like the stupidest place to put it. I forgot what it was. It was some kind of. Oh, it's this vent here. See this vent? Comes out here.
Good, because I couldn't see it. Propane's over here. This is one that you actually have to, you can't necessarily just pull it out very easy. It's mounted in there, so it's typically just filled in the back of your truck, just like a Class A, B, or C would be.
But what if I like was somewhere longer and I got a bigger tank outside? Could I bypass that one so
Yes.
that I'm not having to?
Extend to stay is what it's called. Yes, sir, you can definitely do that. This is locked in, so all you're doing every time you need to lower or raise your steps, you just push the whole thing up, and then they latch in with these right
gotcha.
here.
Another storage.
So your valving and stuff. All right, so let's talk about your black and gray tanks real quick. Well, one, they're going to be smaller on this unit, so you're going to be dumping them a lot more frequently, and I would assume, preferably before you travel. So when you do this, it's the same as on anything else that you're going to flush. When you open that black tank valve the first time, you're going to let it drain out completely. And we'll get a little graphic here for a second just so that you do this the right way and you don't have any problems with your tanks. Let it drain out just like normal. Make sure that you've got it somewhere you have a clear adapter, whether it's right here that connects to this or a clear 90 that goes into your dump. The reason for that is you want to see how bad it looks. You'll dump it the first time, and then you're going to flush. After you flush, you'll dump it again. I put a water meter on the flush itself. That way I know how much water is going into it, so I know how much to clean this. You know what? Maybe actually telling you a lie. This may not even have to be. This is not a. Do it's hidden, so you probably don't. No flush. All right. Well, forget all that. So if you have problems out of your black tank, unfortunately, the only thing for you to do is to fill it all the way up from the inside with water to let it flush some of that stuff
Like
out.
through the toilet or something?
Yes, sir. If you're still having problems with it, easiest thing to do is just to hire a mobile tech to come out and clean your tank. Now they've got basically a pressure washer set up with a hose. It's got like a sprinkler head under pressure that they run up in there, and what it's doing is you know how drains are in toilets, right? You've got a built-in P-trap. That'll start to collect some, and then depending on how it goes into the tank, if there's a 90 or something like that, or a 45, it can start stacking back up. Well, obviously you're gonna know the first time will be odor, and then you'll actually start to see the waste stacking up. That's when it's got to be clean. So flushing will help avoid that. Easiest thing to do is just stick your water hose, not your drinking water hose. Like I have a black one that I wash my truck with. I actually, mine has a tank flush on it. I use that one for all black tank stuff. And then I use a colored hose, like blue or white or whatever, for my fresh water. Just so I don't get
Somebody was saying like maybe in those black tanks, if you're driving, put some kind of cleaner, just a little bit in it, so it swishes around as you're
Well,
driving.
it's not cleaner. It's actually the enzymes and stuff that for the bacteria. So like Happy Camper stuff, whether you're using a powder or a liquid, that's to actually treat the tank, because this is acting as a septic tank until you dump it into a septic tank. So if you put bleach or anything down it, you're actually harming, or take a chance of harming your tank, but for sure you're messing up the septic system. So that, some people will put 5 gallons of water in and let it slosh around. It's probably a good option for this since you don't have a black tank flush. I've never done it. Keep in mind if you put too much water in it, there's no baffles in those tanks.
That'll be
So that
splashing up too.
it shouldn't splash up, but it'll splash side to side in the tank. So what that does is it puts the tank's not made for that. It's made to sit stationary, empty, or stationary.
You might jar the whole thing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in a unit like this, we actually have tanks that'll fall out of the bottom. In your type of unit, you don't have to worry about that. If it falls anywhere, it's going to be in your truck bed. But the more weight you put in that, is it's sloshing around. That's
So
the
not a lot.
effect. Correct.
Just anything a little hard.
We talked about your propane. We talked about your outrigger.
I think it's just speakers over there.
Well, you've got your awning here, and then so that's a refrigerator bit up there for your little refrigerator. Now you do have a little bit.
True word.
Yes. You do have a little maintenance with that though, and basically it's just kind of keeping it blowed out in there. There's nothing really you can do. It's the ventilation that it needs. So if you start getting a bunch of leaves and stuff accumulated on the outside, or even stuff in the inside, the refrigerator won't work.
Yeah, this is just your little defroster bleed off.
It's just it's a vent from somewhere on the back of the refrigerator. It may come from the defroster. I don't think, is there a freezer in your refrigerator?
Might be.
I'm not.
Find out.
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
I've seen a little bit of this.
I've got the air on. I'll turn it on just so we can talk when it's hot as it was.
Yeah. Come on in, hon. Let's get cozy. You'll see how small this thing is.
For sure. I like them though. These are very user-friendly units. They're tough.
Oh, that's a little bit better.
Okay. So here we go. Let me start around the sides here. So you've got a couple switches down there. All of this is your exterior lighting, which it says on it. That is, I can't even read it from here. What is that? door lights, your docking lights.
Oh,
And
bunch
since
of
that
lights.
one's not marked, I couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
This one is your controls for your outriggers. I
Okay.
should have actually talked about this when we were out there, but it's very self-explanatory. To be honest, this was the first truck camper I had ever worked on, just because they're not very prevalent. So when I actually checked this unit in and did the appraisal on it, and then I helped them drop it over here before the unit, or before they left with the unit. All this is you're just going to hit whichever one. Of course, you'll hit on, and then if
Whichever
you want to
one's
extend
running, yeah.
front, rear, all jacks.
Yeah.
Now, on this unit in particular, the motors get weak on a certain jack versus the other. So it's almost a two-people job. And more so what I'm talking about is when you put it on and off of the truck, because your left and right outriggers may not actually go down at the same speed. So you got to kind of keep an eye on that.
Yeah, keep an eye on it. Yeah.
The only thing to do is to start replacing motors. So I was just having to, like, as I was bringing down the back legs, if one of them got a little ahead of the other, then I'd have to take it off of all jacks and just go to that one
Oh, gotcha.
particular
Yeah,
jack.
yeah.
Same thing with the front.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be real important, like I said, when you're fixing to back in or back out of the truck. Other than that, I mean, it's actually, I don't want to say it's dummy proof, but I figured it out. So,
Yeah.
all right. So coming around here, of course, we've got your bathroom or lavatory, as they call it, / shower. On the side of the commode is where you have your flush. There's, of course, not a whole lot of room in here, but there's just enough. Hot water, or excuse me, your water works just like normal. You have an on and off switch on the light, and then you have a fan with a push button switch in there.
Yeah.
Now, most all your controls are right here though. So, like when this one is on, and since we're not actually gonna flow water, I'm gonna actually walk you through this real quick. But so right now it's at 116 degrees. That's probably about right. Most people set their water heaters between 110 and 120. So that's all you have to do is literally turn it on. And then when you're actually hooked up to city water, or if you're pumping, you'll see a little fire light. It looks like a little flame comes up in the bottom with a little circle, and all that tells you is that water heater is actually heating that up.
Tankless water heaters going.
And it takes about 3 to 5 seconds, depending on the heater, to actually get that water warm, and it may be quicker in this because your lines are so close together. So that's really all you're looking for. If you turn on your water and you don't get hot water, you don't see the fire light up there or the little wheel spinning, that means check your propane. Because 99 times out of 100, there's not much that's going to go wrong with that. First thing is always propane.
Okay.
All right, so there's your water heater. On and control, self-explanatory. You've got on, extend and retract.
Which one? Oh, here it is. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Right above it.
All right. And that's awning too. Oh, that's the light.
That's light, yes.
They've certainly got a lot of lights.
So
Okay.
with your awning, the one thing you want to remember is, and I'm not 100% sure on this particular style, but rule of thumb on awnings is 15-mile-an-hour winds.
I thought somewhere it said it's got a thing that if it gets windy, it retracts.
I wouldn't bet on that.
Okay.
Because you're counting on a sensor to
But
keep
anyways,
you with
15 mile an hour. Yeah.
$2,500 awning set.
Yeah.
So I always check before I put my awning out, and if I notice the wind is starting to lift the awning at all, that's when I retract, no matter what the weather says. Above this is going to be your solar controller.
Okay.
It's going to give you your battery readouts, all that good stuff. Again, you have just enough solar on here to say that you have solar, but unfortunately, the way they market these, it's a starter package. That's really what they should say, because just your little refrigerator alone, that one panel won't do it.
Yeah. You usually want to run the fridge off 12 volt or something, they said.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the point is that that's not even enough sunlight coming into that.
And I
one
think the
panel to
batteries
power
are
the
they're
refrigerator.
here, right?
It is, yes, sir.
Yeah, let's see if this has got a freezer in it. What is it? How's it? Oops. Yeah, see, it's got a little,
So that's an absorption style refrigerator, which means that'll work off of propane or electric.
Yeah, two different types of electric. I thought 12 volt and maybe they were saying something else.
No, So it's just 120. 12 volts what powers the board in it, but it requires 120 volts to work. All right, so coming down, you've got all your tanks and stuff over here. So all you'll do for this, one, you see your water pump switch. You'll actually hear it if it wasn't for this.
Yeah, I almost felt it.
Okay, good. Okay, so
Yeah.
you hear it come on.
Yeah.
So here's the trick with the water pump. If when you have the water pump on and you're not using any water, but you hear the pump, you actually hear the pump, because it's on demand too. So once it has your lines all primed, all the air's out of the lines and all that stuff, you shouldn't hear the water pump unless you actually have a spigot or a faucet on.
Otherwise, there's a problem.
Otherwise, there's a leak.
Leak. Okay.
Yes. So if you hear it cycle on every 5 seconds
Get
to a
checking.
minute.
Get looking.
Yeah. Well, first, I would turn it off because then you got to find it.
Because it'd be pushing more shit into the leak. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But you do have on here, you have these little buttons so that you can check your battery, your fresh tank, which is empty,
Oh
your black tank, which is empty, and your gray tank, which has a little bit
yeah.
in it.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Thermostat just works just like the ones at home, on, auto, and fan. Then you have cool, off, and heat. Your heat. Okay, so here's the trick with the heat, and this, I say trick, it's really not. This time of year, you might not use it at all, right? But let's say we get a cool night. If you haven't used the heat in a while, like actually have propane in the line going to the heat, it might cycle through. The way it does is it'll try to attempt to start 3 times. If it still doesn't have enough propane in the line, it locks out, which means all you have to do is just shut it off, give it about 5 seconds, and then turn it back on. Then it'll start those 3 more times. If it doesn't start that first couple times, normally it always will the second. But if you continue trying over and over, there's a problem. So I only tell you that because if you forget to turn on your propane or whatever before running a heater,
You'll find.
yeah, so if it doesn't fire those first 3 times, check your propane.
Okay.
Then again, if it doesn't fire the last 3, then you've got a problem somewhere.
Yeah. All right.
These are not the automatic DSI lights, so you actually do have to put
You gotta light it
a
yourself.
flame to them.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Which
I heard, yeah.
not a
Wow.
big deal. You got those couple drawers.
Yeah.
Let's
I wanted to
see.
look at the battery at least too.
Okay, we'll be back around
Yeah.
there in a sec. All right, so TV and a.
Are these double
Jensen?
pane windows? You know.
I would not imagine so.
Okay.
I don't really know though, to be honest.
Okay. All right. But what about
just
the
guess.
TV?
So you got your TV and then your Bluetooth all system here. I know it works. I didn't hook it up to my phone or anything. I just turn it on, make sure that the speakers and all stuff come through, and then it would switch back and forth.
I don't really watch TV, but yeah.
These windows with the red on them, just like this one behind her, those are your emergency windows. So they're made to be tested every now and again. But even if you don't test them, they may be just a little stiff. But all you'll do is you're just gonna
Make
turn
sure they
those
move, yeah.
around. They'll go a quarter
Exercise them.
turn, and then it'll come out. And it'll come out just far enough for you to test it. But if you push too far, it's designed
Coming
to
off.
break
Yeah.
away. So just telling you that so you know. And your remote for your TV's right underneath the TV.
Storage.
Those lights up front are on push buttons, and you have a why I don't know. This is the dumbest place to have an LP detector, but you have one right here between your refrigerator and your.
In case there's a propane leak or something.
Well, propane's heavier than air, so it's always going to be down at
Okay.
floor level. So
They have ones you can buy too. There's something down there too. I don't know what that is.
okay, good. Another LP detector.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay, good. Talked about your refrigerator. You'll have to set it whether you want it on propane or electric. It depends on the park for me, and this is you'd figure this out anyway. But some parks will charge electricity, some parks won't, and I would say majority of them don't. So if I'm in a park that doesn't charge for electricity,
You go electricity. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Propane's still cheap though to run all the systems for propane. So
Oh, okay.
other than your furnace is going to use quite a bit of propane to keep you warm, just because these aren't made efficiently. They don't hold the heat very well. But your water heater, your refrigerator, they'll run a whole summer off of probably a 20-gallon, well, whatever size tank you have down there.
So the one question, I guess,
Yes, sir.
if I'm parked at, say, at her house, and to hook up electric because it's not a RV park, so it doesn't have this one.
out here. Is there a way to plug in 110 to it?
There is.
Okay, gotcha.
Here's the kicker for that. So
Gotta be careful you don't blow in fuses or something.
Well-
Different amperage.
no, so first of all, remember you're always going to have a surge protector. So when you plug this in, this is a 30 amp system. So you'll have a surge protector that's a 30 amp. It's like you're always going to use it. The reason for it is because just like with the water, the parks have, every place has electricity that goes up and down. Well, because you have
Like
a
the water,
12
yeah,
volt and 120 volt system in here, it's actually pretty fickle for that. So if you get a lot of spikes or drops, stuff won't work. Well, it won't work right. And then when it quits working right, then that's when you tend to burn things up. Most of the time that I've actually had to rebuild electrical systems in these, it's been because people didn't have surge protectors. It's a $60 investment on Amazon.
So say I'm running a cord from her house, and so between the camper and her house cord, you put a surge protector, and they have those.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So it'll be a 30 amp surge
Okay,
protector is what
gotcha.
you need, right?
Okay.
Then from the 30 amp surge protectors, when you actually, it's called a dog bone. So it'll have an adapter for 30 amp on one side and then 110 on the other. When you hook in 110 or actually 120, just make sure that you're only running 120 volt systems. 120 volt system. Don't try to run your air conditioner and your fridge because you're liable to burn one of the two up.
Mhm.
So that's really the only caveat with that.
Okay. Do you got questions? Oh, I still want to see that battery. I'll tell you some questions that I came up with. They're probably crazy, but
I only have one question.
what is it, hon?
Oklahoma or Tennessee?
Tennessee. Go Vols.
That was my first choice.
So I got a Ford F-250. There's one question. Okay, and this has a cord for when you're driving. You hook it up with at least for the brake lights and whatever else.
That's all.
With my Ford outlet, does it hook up? Because this is proprietary. I heard. How do we hook up with?
It's just a 7-pin.
This is.
Yes.
Somebody said it was like proprietary.
Okay. It's a 7-pin. So as long as you have a 7-pin harness on your truck,
I believe I do. Yeah.
you should.
And there's a 7-pin and then a 4 on the side.
But they don't use the flat controllers anymore. These are all 7 pins because you have, of course, your blinkers, your brake lights, your running lights, and then your battery charge.
Okay.
So speaking of that,
I just
hit
want to
that
verify
over there.
that. I want to see that. But,
So let's talk about that real
okay,
quick.
sure,
because
sure.
that brings up a point.
Okay.
So this is your fuses and your breakers,
Okay, gotcha.
in there, right?
Okay.
Well, what this does is when you plug into that 7-pin, it actually operates this converter. So you'll hear a little fan in here if all this wasn't running. But what that does is it's actually converting. It's taking that 12 volts that's coming
It's a
in.
converter. Converting it, right?
Yes, it's taking that 12 volts coming in and it's topping off your batteries. The reason that's important is because once you plug in your 7-pin on your truck, it should keep your batteries, your actual coach batteries, charged as well.
Okay.
And then when you plug in the short cord, whether it's 110 at her house
Or the RV
at a
park, it should be topping it off.
yes,
Yeah.
it should be constantly topping off. your
Or if you
batteries.
had real solar, that would top it.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
So, and
Chat a
with
little bit.
these, if you trip a breaker or you blow a fuse more than once, assume you have a problem.
Okay, gotcha.
But they're all marked on here. It's fairly
Oh,
user friendly. So, what was your?
Next one was with this camper. Were there any prior problems that we would know about, or
Not that I'm.
and solar on the roof? I think it was 100, right?
Again, I didn't even look.
What type of? Oh, the battery. I wanted to know if it's lithium or.
It's a deep cycle AGM.
Okay. But lithium's better if I get a lithium battery for.
It's really not because lithium is mainly for solar.
Oh, okay. And
So-
then,
Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm telling you my opinion, right? So lithium is really good for solar because when it gets to about 90%, it just drops off. But everything works really good. Your voltage stays good enough on 12 volts to be consistent with all of your stuff at 90%, and then it'll just shut off. The problem with AGM or deep cycle batteries is whenever they're not being charged, they start to just gradually decline. So you could
While
be
the
at,
lithium would hold better.
yes. So you could be at about 50%, and then all of a sudden, all your 12 volt goes off. Well, you still have half a charge left in your battery, and that's the reason why.
Okay. Let's see.
They're also about 2 to 3 times more expensive.
Okay, got that one. Let's see. I guess I'm not picking it up today, but when I do come to pick it up, I just wanted them to make sure that my tire is inflated properly before I pull off the lot.
Your tires?
Yeah. Just to make sure, because I've never towed anything on my truck.
Okay. I mean, so it says it on the sidewall of your pickup truck?
Just make sure it's at towing
Well,
PSI.
it should be the actual operating PSI. Like if it says, what kind of truck is it?
It's 250 Power Stroke.
All right,
Ford.
so let's say your front tires are 85, or your tires are 85 psi. I have a 1-ton truck. That's the way mine is. So if you're towing, it needs to be at 85 psi.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you're not towing, like sometimes mine will be at 78,
Okay.
80. But
Okay.
if I'm going to haul a trailer,
I just want to make sure somebody says, okay, your tires are fine.
they'll do that for you, or you can again just stop and do that. That should be just regular maintenance.
Does
on your
this have a
truck.
backup camera?
No, sir.
Okay.
You can buy one for it.
Okay.
It's Bluetooth.
Okay.
So they make we would have to just mount you a little, the camera holder as well as the camera back there, but it Bluetooths to your pickup
Oh,
truck.
nice. Without having to run all white.
Right. But you won't have one on your tailgate, never mind.
I did have. Well, I took the
Yeah,
tailgate
sure.
off.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it said take
Yeah.
it off.
Because it's in the way of your steps.
Yeah. But it was funny because if I had that tailgate, it's got a step. I seen somebody use that tailgate to step up into the ones that come in the tailgate, which was heavy
Right.
because of the ladder in there. Can you run pre? I asked you that. I asked you that. So, and then when I'm running, I put the tow haul on when I got it in the back. I heard it
Yes
was
and
empty
no.
gas mileage.
It's, I don't worry about the fuel mileage on that. It depends on how my truck feels. If this, I used to be a Ford guy. I'm not anymore. Bad experiences, but it shouldn't have bothered your truck whatsoever. I don't remember what the GVWR on this is, but I would
thought
say
it was
it's about
not
3
this
grand.
one, but that one. It was 21. I want to think.
So I would have guessed 3. So if it's under that, I mean, it's about like hauling a little 17, 18-foot boat. You shouldn't even feel its back area, except for the side to side. You'll get a little bit more wind drag on this, but you'll feel a little bit more top heavy because now your center of gravity is not
It's up.
your
yeah.
truck bed anymore. It's going to be about window height
Yeah.
for this.
I got the fast guns and the torque shit. Okay, well, you think of any other? Okay. I don't know. Oh, can I look at?
Yes.
I guess now that we know what it is,
Yeah,
I mean,
go
I
right
just
ahead.
kind of want to look at it anyways. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, cool. I appreciate you.
No problem.
You get it, huh?
I think so.
I can leave it open if you
Oh,
want.
no,
That's
thank you. Yeah, my cousin went to the other UT.
Is that right? Nice. Both my boys are there now. I've got one at
Oh, in
UT
Tennessee?
in
Yeah.
Knoxville and
Oh,
one at
okay.
UT in Chattanooga.
Nice.